These are Russian war trophies. They've been brought here to Kyiv for the national holiday. On that day, it will be 1.5 years of war and no end in sight. That's what I am talking about to Andriy Yermak. He is the head of the presidential office, Zelenskyy's chief of staff, and as some people here in Ukraine say, more powerful than the president himself. Mr. Yermak, thanks for receiving us. This is the second time Ukraine is celebrating its national holiday in wartime. What's your mood?
This day gives me special emotions. I feel the unity of our country. If last year we were united to withstand, this year we are strong and united to prevail. There is a strong feeling of pride. Pride for our country. Pride for our partners who stand with us. This is really a very profound and emotional holiday.
Свято таке дуже глибоке і дуже емоційне.
You've talked about the mood for victory, but we've seen new polls that say that at the moment only 49% of Ukrainians are optimistic.
Я не знаю, які ви дивитесь цифри.
I don't know which polls you saw. What I can say is that the President and I travel a lot. We talk to the soldiers at the front. Last time we visited the 16th Brigade and talked directly to our heroes. We meet not numbers on paper, but people. People in the places where the President travels often. I don't believe that only 40% are optimistic. I understand that people are tired. I understand that it's hard to go to sleep every evening, not knowing what will happen that night. It is hard for everybody, but I think that during these whole 1.5 years, we've shown the Ukrainian spirit to the whole world, how strong the Ukrainian nation is, and how we're able to surprise the world many times. Let's not forget that we were once given 3 days, then several months, and now it's 1.5 years. And we don't only defend ourselves, but we also liberate our territory. And that is what we will do until the last centimetre of Ukrainian soil will be liberated. Soil that legally and according to the norms of international law belongs to Ukraine in its internationally recognized borders. This is our goal, and that will be our victory.
Let's talk about the situation a little bit at the front lines. The counteroffensive lags behind expectations. Expectations were very high, that's true, but progress is very slow. What mistake was there?
Знов таки. Очікування кого?
Whose expectations? This is a war.
Це війна.
And nobody can foresee 100% how things will develop. I can only tell you that every day we're making progress. Not big progress, but progress. Certainly, this happens slower than we would have wanted. The reason is primarily that large swathes of territory are mined. Second, we still don't have enough weapons. And the third reason is that we're different from the Russians. We think about our people. The Russians don't. They don't count their soldiers. They're cannon fodder that they throw at the battle. They don't even collect many of their bodies. So this is certainly not only a Russia versus Ukraine war,
Росії проти України –
But
це
it's also a war of worldviews,
війна філософії, це
a war of
війна
philosophies.
диктатури
It's a
і
war
демократії.
between dictatorship and democracy.
Зранку повернулися до України
Just this morning, we
після
came back from a very
дуже,
successful visit to Sweden,
вдалих візитів
the Netherlands,
до Данії,
Denmark,
Швеції,
and Greece.
Нідерландів, Греції. Повернулися з
We
дуже
came
гарними
back with
новинами.
very good
Я думаю,
news.
що я знаю. Я говорив, наприклад,
I've asked our commander Sirski how soldiers react to the news that we will have a very concrete number of F-16 fighter jets.
у наших воїнів після новини, що нам надають конкретну
And he
вже
replied
кількість
that this gives
винищувачів
our soldiers
F-16.
additional
Він мені повідомив
motivation.
про те, що всі дійсно дуже раді, і це дійсно
I'm
дає
convinced that we'll reign in the skies
додаткову
and that our
мотивацію
pilots
нашим воїнам,
will
тому
be
що
the
дуже
top
скоро,
guns
я
of the
впевнений, ми
21st
будемо
century.
і опанувати в небі. Я думаю, що наші пілоти точно стануть топ-ганами 21-го століття.
We'll talk about these in a minute, but they're not there yet. It will take some time. And the plan was never to take 10 kilometers in 2 months, right, for the counteroffensive.
Ну, ви знаєте, я думаю, що ви точно не знаєте, який був точний план.
I think you can't know what the plan
Тому
exactly was.
Дуже
That's why it's difficult to comment on this.
обговорювати, коментувати. Ще раз
I
вам
can
можу
tell you again that every day we make some progress.
певний прогрес. І якщо ви
And
повернетеся
if you remember just a few months ago or 1 year ago, who would have thought 1 year ago that Ukraine wouldn't only withstand Russia but also liberate territory?
боротися і просто
Let's take a look at the real situation.
А вже почне
I'm convinced that Ukraine will continue to surprise the world with what is going to happen. I'm convinced that we will prevail. I am convinced that we will liberate our territories.
що буде відбуватися. Я впевнений в тому, що ми переможемо. Я впевнений в тому, що ми звільнимо нашу землю. Я вам можу сказати
I
навіть
can tell you even about
політичні
political events.
Знаєте, навіть за декілька днів
You
до
know,
проведення
even
зустрічі
several
на
days before we
рівні,
had a meeting at the National
радників
Security
з
Advisors level
питань
in
національної
Jeddah,
безпеки
in
і
Saudi
політичних
Arabia,
радників в Джеді, в Саудівській
few
Аравії.
people believed that it would
Мало хто
happen.
вірив, що це відбудеться. Мало хто
Few
вірив,
believed
що
that
будуть
certain
певні
countries in the
країни,
global south would take
глобального
part.
півдня присутні. Сьогодні всі
Today,
говорять,
everybody
всі
says
під час
that it was a
зустрічі, що
great
це
success.
великий успіх. За 2 дні
2 days
цей успіх
before, few believed in this
вірили
success.
дуже небагато людей. Тому
So let's
давайте
take a look at what is
дивитися
really
абсолютно
happening.
на реальні речі. І
Let's
давайте
look at what will happen
дивитися,
in the next
що буде
months.
відбуватися найближчі місяці. І давайте
Let's have less
менше
talk
розмов,
and more
більше
action.
діла, да?
Our
Тому що
partners see
коли
clearly today
сьогодні
that if
наші
we have
партнери
anything
чітко
that we
бачать,
need,
коли
there are
ми
results.
дійсно маємо все, що
we
необхідно,
still do need a lot.
маємо результат. Ми
I'm
досить
very grateful to our
сьогодні
partners.
багато чого потребуємо. Я дуже вдячний
Talking to
нашим
you, I want
партнерам.
to say
Я
that we are
дуже,
very grateful to Germany.
Якщо ми говоримо сьогодні з вами, я хотів би сказати, що за
In
велику
fact,
допомогу
Germany has
Німеччині,
become one of our
і
biggest
дійсно сьогодні
supporters.
Німеччина є одним із лідерів щодо допомоги Україні. І дуже
We have
потужні
recently seen powerful
заяви
statements from the
останніх
Minister of
днів,
Foreign
і
Affairs,
міністра закордонних
as
справ,
well
і
as the
канцлера,
Chancellor.
і так далі, за що ми дуже вдячні. І я вважаю,
Together
що
we will
разом
prevail.
ми точно переможемо. І переможемо,
The sooner
безумовно,
this
ми хотіли
victory
б
is
перемогти
here,
як можна скоріше.
the
Тому
sooner
що чим
other
скоріше
problems that were
настане
caused by
ця
this
перемога,
war
тим,
will be solved.
безумовно, багато і інших питань, і кризисів, які викликала ця війна, їх можна буде подолати.
You've mentioned the F-16. We've heard now from several people in the government that Ukraine would want, besides the F-16 and the Gripen that training has already started on, although there's no commitment, that there's also talk about Rafale and Eurofighter. Is Ukraine going to request Eurofighters from Germany?
Ви знаєте, сьогодні треба від це
Ukraine will need to build a
повітряного
new air
флоту,
force.
нового повітряного
I'm not in the
флоту
military.
України.
I can't
Я не
judge
можу
this.
себе віднести, я не
Professionals
військовий.
are taking care of this.
Безумовно, цим займаються люди, які
But
є
as far as I know,
професіоналами.
there
Але,
are
наскільки
several
мені
types of
відомо,
airplanes that can
є,
be combined.
Декілька видів літаків, які
So this process is certainly in the works. You know that there are 14 countries in the Air Force coalition, and their number is growing practically every week. We'll talk to everybody in order to find the best form for our Air Force that will comprise several types of planes. But that is more a question to the specialists who know what can be best combined.
До спеціалістів, які дійсно розуміються, що можливо поєднати, для яких функцій і так далі.
Right now it's not on your agenda.
We're talking to our partners.
You also talk about the Taurus missile. Germany is reluctant to deliver the Taurus missile. There's discussion in Germany whether they should change the programming so Ukraine would not be able to use it against Russia. Why this distrust after such a long time? Why haven't you been able to convince them that you will only use them the way you say?
Ви знаєте, наскільки, по-перше, ми
First, we talk to all our partners. That is our principal position, whether it concerns planes or missiles. We need them to liberate our territory. We don't plan to use them against Russian territory. We've said this. It's a clear position of our leadership. As far as talks are concerned, whenever we talk with our partners about transferring new weapons that concern principal positions, we keep these talks internal. I'm convinced that Germany will decide in our favor on this question as well. I know that we're in talks, and I'm convinced that these talks will lead to a positive result for Ukraine. And that we will receive what we need.
From time to time, there are people in the West who bring up the topic of negotiations with Russia, even negotiations before Russia has left all the territories. Ukraine has said that this is not an option, but are you afraid that pressure on Ukraine might rise in that?
Ви знаєте, я не знаю, не чув.
I practically take part in all high-level talks. I've not heard that any politician, any leader has raised the question about negotiations. Everybody says that Ukraine will decide itself when and under what conditions to agree to whatever negotiations. And our position is clear. It's known to everybody. As long as Russian troops are on our territory, there can't be any question of negotiations.
But we also know that, for example, in the US, some of the candidates who are now trying to get the nomination have said that they would stop supporting Ukraine. What's your plan B?
Дивіться, ми живемо в демократичних країнах.
Look, we live in democratic countries. In every one of them, people can have their position. It's their right. But we also know about the powerful support of the people in the United States, in Germany, in Denmark, in Sweden, in the Netherlands, and many other countries. That's why I don't understand what Plan B you are talking about. Today we have no questions about the support for Ukraine, not only within our main partners, the G7, the NATO members, the members of the European Union. And that there are processes in these countries that somebody can have a different opinion. That's normal. That's democracy.
So you're not worried about the elections in the US?
Ви знаєте, ми принципово на сьогоднішній день...
We do have bipartisan support in the United States. That's one important victory for us. We often, the President and his team, meet with members of Congress, senators who represent both parties. Our principled position is that we don't think it's acceptable to interfere in the elections and the political life of any partner country. That's a question of mutual respect. We're an independent country, and we respect the independence of our partner. That's one priority. But until today, we have never had any doubts about the support of the countries that have united around us. We have close and productive cooperation with the leadership of all countries with whom we cooperate.
You've mentioned the countries of the global south. Ukraine has tried to be more active diplomatically with these countries, but at the same time we have the BRICS summit going on now, uniting Russia plus 4 countries that are not supporting Ukraine and that represent 40%.
Чому ви так говорите? Ви знаєте, багато з країн BRICS.
Why are you saying this? Many BRICS countries were present in Jeddah, and they voiced support for the independence and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And we see that today at the BRICS summit. The president of the terrorist country, Russia, is absent. There have been many contacts in recent times, including a visit by African leaders. I'm convinced that this has changed their position towards this war, towards what is happening. I think BRICS will be even more powerful and influential without Russia.
But all of these countries did not join the sanctions against Russia. India and China are even cooperating militarily, buying arms in Russia. That's not support for Ukraine.
Ви маєте чіткі підтвердження щодо цієї такої співпраці?
Do you have clear confirmation of this cooperation? You know, we talk to these countries. We're in constant dialogue. But it is a process, an important process. And you know, their participation in discussions about the Ukrainian peace plan, that's evidence that first, this is important to them. We share common values and principles. And today, this task, to get these countries to support Ukraine, is a constant process that needs meetings, visits, and talks that take place constantly.
Again, China and Russia are holding joint military drills. India is buying arms from Russia. That's not standing on the side of Ukraine.
Для цього ми продовжуємо цю роботу.
That is why we continue working. If China is now part of this process and is taking part in the implementation of President Zelensky's peace plan, that has an impact on their cooperation. China's official position is different. I've asked you whether you have proof for these joint drills. If you do have them, show them to me.
Якщо у вас є такі докази, надайте мені,
They were
будь ласка.
publicly announced, these drills.
Ви знаєте, іноді
Sometimes things are announced without evidence.
але без доказової бази.
What's your estimate? How long will this war still go on?
Я би не хотів робити прогнозів.
I don't
така
want to
неблагодарна
make a forecast.
справа. Я вважаю, що
That is an
треба
ungrateful thing to do.
всі робити те, що
I think everybody needs to do what we can, and even more, in order to bring victory
для того,
closer.
щоб наближати нашу перемогу. Наше бажання
Our wish
перемоги,
is victory.
наше
The unity of our nation
нації, воно
is unprecedented.
Єднання світу
But I can tell you that this is an
Але ви
important
знаєте, я можу вам
moment,
сказати, що
because it
зараз
seems to
дуже
me that we
важливо,
are close to victory.
тому що мені здається, ми дуже близькі.
Nobody knows how long this period of time will last,
Але цей відрізок, по-перше,
but
ніхто не
we've
знає,
already come
скільки він
a long way.
буде тривати. А по-друге, знаєте, пройдено дуже великий шлях. І я ще раз хочу
I
сказати,
want to
я
emphasize again
дуже з великим
that I have a
розумінням
lot of
відчував,
understanding and respect for the fact that many are tired.
дуже важко. Ми живемо в війні вже
We've been
більше.
living in wartime for 1.5 years
Але
already.
я настільки вірю
It's hard
в
for
силу
everybody.
духу, нас, українців.
But I have so much faith in our morale.
Я просто вірю, тому що я спілкуюсь, коли ми виїжджаємо, я бачу очі
And it's not only
людей
faith.
різного віку.
I speak to people.
Як вони
I look into the eyes of people of all ages.
надає от ту необхідну енергію, яка надихає, яка
We're on our
дає
territory,
мотивацію.
and this gives us so much energy. That inspires us. That motivates us.
Повернулися з
I want to get back to our latest visit.
європейських країн. І ви знаєте, як ставляться до України сьогодні люди в різних країнах. Ми це відчували і в Берліні, і в
We felt
Парижі,
this in Berlin, in Paris, in Rome, and right now in Copenhagen, in Stockholm, in Athens, in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven. The world is on the side of the good today. The world is on the bright side. People are on our side, and that will lead to our victory. People don't say, "We wish you victory." They say, "We trust in your victory." Some people say this loudly, some quietly, but everybody believes in our victory.
А ми, безумовно, нічого більш бажаного, ніж перемогти.
There is nothing that we wish for more than for victory and for peace to return to our land.
Я думаю, завтра, в День Незалежності, багато хто буде про це говорити.
Tomorrow on our national holiday, many will talk about this. This is our biggest dream, and I think that we have such a formidable country, a country that is loved by God, that we will be happy soon when peace returns to our land.
Коли мир прийде на нашу землю.
Дякую.
Thank you.